This is a demonstration of two-point perspective with multiple vanishing points and incline and decline planes. So I've taken the liberty of scoring up my 18 by 24 inch paper. I laid in a horizon line above the midpoint. Now I'm going to get my 14 by 17 inch paper and also square that up in the same orientation as the 18 by 24 inch paper. So my horizon line is above the midpoint on the paper. Now, I need to establish my center of vision. So the center of vision is going to be the center of the paper, or let's say the midpoint between the sides of the paper. So I'm going to arbitrarily decide that it's right there in the center. I'm going to drop a midline down from the center of vision. Now, because this is one-point perspective, because this is two-point perspective, the center of vision is not going to be the vanishing point. Well, before we move on, let's go ahead and title this at the bottom of our paper. So this is two-point. Multiple vanishing points with incline and decline planes. Now I'm going to drop a vertical line straight down, also on my 18 by 24 inch paper, because I want to make sure that I have enough room to create my station point. Now, in two-point perspective, in order to properly find the station point, we need to make sure, not only the station point, but also the vanishing points. We need to make sure that the left and right vanishing point are at a 90-degree angle from the station point. So I will use both my triangles for this. You can also use a straight edge for this as well. And I'm going to put my 90-degree angle here at the bottom of the distance line. Now, because I have the 18 by 24 inch paper, I'm going to have a longer distance line than I would if I only have my 14 by 17 inch paper. So I'm going to drop my 45-degree angle down here so I can kind of visualize where my vanishing points might be. So the reason for this is the longer the distance line, or the longer the distance is from the station point to the horizon line or the eye level, the larger the cone of vision is going to be, and we want to take full advantage of that. So I'm going to put this at a slight angle, kind of visualize where this 45-degree angle is going to be, so I can still raise this up a tad and kind of visualize where that's going to be. You can certainly go off the paper if you want to, but for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to keep it on the paper. Okay, it looks like this one's going to work pretty well. Yes. Okay, so this is my station point. I'm going to write SP, and I'm going to draw a very light line, 45-degree angle up to the horizon line. And I'm going to use my 45-90 triangle, the other triangle, as an extension. Now again, you can use your straight edge for this too. So I'm going to line this back up on this 45-degree angle at the station point. And now I'm going to line this up to the horizon line. Okay, so, and lightly draw a line all the way down to the station point. Alright, so now what we've done is we've created a 45-degree angle relationship, or let's say a 90-degree angle relationship here at the station point to the left vanishing point and the right vanishing point. The right vanishing point, let's label this RVP. Now, the left vanishing point is going to be very similar to the one-point perspective multiple vanishing points drawing that we had done previously. With that, we're going to have multiple vanishing points along the horizon line. So instead of calling this a left vanishing point, we're going to label this as, well, we can label it as LVP in parentheses, but this is really going to be vanishing point 1, because we're going to have a whole series of vanishing points here. Okay, now these are just reference lines. You can keep them on here if you like, but you can also erase them. So I'm going to lighten them up just a tad. You really don't need them on the paper itself. Now, we're going to start with a line converging to the right vanishing point. And I'm going to place it somewhere in here because I know it's going to be within the cone of vision. So I'm going to place it about right here. This is about a 3-inch line. And now I'm going to draw 2 lines converging to VP1. Now keep in mind, this line is converging to the right vanishing point. And every plane that we draw will converge to the right vanishing point. This will be our consistent, this will be our one constant in our drawing. Okay, to RVP. Now, we need to terminate this plane. So we'll terminate it right here. Also converging to the right vanishing point. Now we need to establish our second vanishing point, and I'll place it right here. This is VP2. And at the very end of this plane, I will also draw 2 lines converging to vanishing point 2. Again, these lines are light. These construction lines will always be some of the lightest lines that we draw on our drawing, or that we perform on our drawing. Now I need to end this plane as well, or terminate the plane using the right vanishing point. And I do want to make the depth a little bit thinner than the previous one, or a little bit shorter than the previous one. There we go. Okay, so 2 planes, 2 vanishing points. Now I have a third vanishing point. You can also use your triangle to kind of visualize where this, the curve of your planes. So I think this could work. So this is going to be VP3. And again, using our right vanishing point to terminate the end of the plane. Now we have VP4. Now again, this is 2-point perspective. Each one of these planes is using 2 vanishing points only. It's very different than 1-point perspective with multiple vanishing points, because you only have 1 vanishing point period for every plane. And then you have a bunch of horizontal lines to create the beginning and end of every plane. Whereas this drawing, or this technique, you use the right vanishing point to terminate it. Now if you notice, all of these lines, as they get closer and closer to the horizon line, become more parallel. So it's something to think about. The closer lines get to the horizon line, the more parallel they become. And that's something that's fairly consistent. Now we can use the center vision as vanishing point 5, and I think we will. We'll put CV in parentheses. Again, we're going to draw two lines converging to the vanishing point. If you notice, it's getting a little bit aggressive here, so I have a feeling I think I'm going to tone it down a little bit and start to reverse it and bring it back towards the left again. So this is going to be VP6. And I'm also getting a lot closer to the horizon line. So I want to be very careful with this because the closer I get, I'm minimizing my space. So I want to be careful with this. There we go. Okay, so I have this nice gentle turn. Okay, I think that could work. So I'm going to put, this is going to be VP7. Now with all these lines, I know it can be very, very confusing. So that's one of the reasons why we begin and end each plane, so we don't jump around. It makes it a little bit easier to organize our drawing and, of course, organize our thoughts. Okay, again, these are all going to the right vanishing point. Excellent. Okay, now before we move on, I'm going to solidify every one of these lines converging to the vanishing points. Now, when I do this, I do want to line up the straight edge to the vanishing point that has created these. Sometimes I do one side then the other, but in this case I'll just do, it's sometimes a lot healthier just to do one plane at a time. That way you don't miss a step. Okay, so this is number 5. And if you ever get confused which plane goes to which vanishing point as you do this, just start at the beginning. If you get lost, start at the beginning and you work your way back. All right, so now we're almost we're back to where we started before we reiterated these lines. Now I'm going to create an incline plane. I'm going to use vanishing point 3 to do this. And let me erase this. I'll put VP3 on the side. VP3. I'm going to create a vertical reference line right over, or right through this vanishing point rather. Get this straight edge on top. There we go. I'm going to bring this reference line down a little bit lower. All right, so now it's time to look at our drawing and see what we can do to create something that's fun, create something that's going to look good, something that's provocative, especially with this very aggressive looking sidewalk or walkway. So I'm going to place this up quite high. You could put it shallow too, but it's not going to look as dramatic as it would when it's up higher. So I think I might place it right here. Now it's going to look very similar to these lines converging to vanishing point 7. Now it's going to look very similar until I terminate the plane and also create a decline plane. We'll do it a few times and you can see how dramatic it can look. So right now it kind of looks the same, but you really don't see its purpose until you see the decline. Then you really see what it's doing. Alright, so now it's time to decide how much of a decline it's going to be. So you don't want, one of the things you don't want to do is you don't want to put your, oh I'm sorry, let's circle back. When I converge this incline plane up to this reference line, this is a trace point. So we're going to call this TP1 or trace point 1. Okay, now the interesting thing about trace points is that trace points are auxiliary vanishing points. And with these auxiliary vanishing points, in order for them to work, they need to correlate with